This is Unit 6, Lesson 5 for Algebra 1, writing equations in the slope-intercept form. And we're not just going to write equations in slope-intercept form, but there are going to be two different cases of how we're going to write those. The first one is we're going to be given the slope and a point. So our whole goal is to still get those puzzle pieces. And our puzzle pieces are the m, the slope, and the b, the y-intercept. Before, in previous lessons, we were given this information. Now we're going to have to find, if not both m and b, at least b. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write out y equals mx plus b. So slope-intercept form. Because we are going to, let me zoom in a little bit here, because we are going to do some substitutions. So after I write out y equals mx plus b, I'm going to substitute the slope in for m. We have learned that the slope is represented by the letter m. We're going to substitute the x-coordinate of the point that's given to us in for x. And then we are going to substitute the y-coordinate of the point that's given to us for y. Okay? After we do that, okay, so we're substituting a number in for y, a number in for m, a number in for x. B will be our only unknown. We're going to have to multiply what is now the two numbers for m and x. So we are going to multiply m and x times each other. Okay. Then that will let us find a product. Once we find the product of m and x, we are going to solve for b. Now, we were given the slope, we just solved for b, so we can substitute m and b back into the equation, and we will have written ourselves an equation in slope-intercept form. All the steps. It is helpful if we label the information we are given. So the ordered pair that we are given, I'm going to label with x and y, and the slope I'm given, I'm going to label with m. The directions, or step 1 above, says write out y equals mx plus b. And now we're going to make our substitutions. So the first substitution, I need to replace y with 7. My equal sign is still there. M will be replaced with 5/2. X will be replaced with -2. And then our only unknown is b, which will allow me to solve for b. Remember, my puzzle pieces are m and b. I already have m. I need to solve for b and find out what b is. I'm going to multiply the m and the x, and you may need a calculator for this, but this produces a -5. And again, I'm still solving for b. I move a -5 with a, and some of you may need to draw your wall and your floor. I move a -5 with a plus or +5. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And I now know that 12 equals b. So I have my two puzzle pieces. I have my b. I had my m. It was given to me. Now I can write an equation in slope-intercept form. So I am going to replace m with the slope, which is 5/2. Then I'm going to replace b with what I solved to get b. It's a +12, so I'm going to express it as +12. And this is my final answer. So my final answer for these problems are equations. They are not two separate numbers. I need to make sure to take my m and b and replace them, and my finished product is an equation. Example 2. Again, it's helpful if you label the parts that you're going to have to substitute in. We're substituting into slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. And now I'm going to do my substitutions. Y from the ordered pair is 13. M from the slope I was given is -2. X from the ordered pair I was given is -5. And I'm looking for b. I'm going to multiply m and b, I'm going to multiply m and x. And I get 13 equals 10 plus b. Some of you may need to draw your wall on your floor. I'm solving for b, so I move a positive 10 with a negative or minus 10. Whatever I do to one side, I do the other. And 3 equals b. So my two puzzle pieces, the slope, which is m, the y-intercept, which is b, and I'm going to substitute those in. X and y stay in the equation. I'm always going to see x and y because they represent all of the ordered pairs that lie on this line. B is a positive 3, so I'm going to write it as plus 3. This is my finished product. At this time, I need you to press pause. You are going to try the U-try on your own. When you're done with the U-try, press play again, and you'll see if you were able to get it done correctly. So X, Y, and M. Y equals mx plus b. Y is -9. M is -3/4. X is 4. And I'm looking for good old b. Multiply m and x. That calculator work may need to be done, but that product is -3. And I'm looking for b still. Okay. Some of you may need to draw your wall on your floor. I move a -3 with a plus or positive 3. Whatever I do to one side, I do the other. And -6 equals b. So at this time, I have my two puzzle pieces. I have b. I have m, or the slope, and I can substitute in. So y equals, my m is -3/4. Again, I'm always going to see x and y because they represent all the ordered pairs that lie on this line. And then b is a -6, so I'm going to express it as a -6. And this here is my final answer. If you have any questions on this, you need to make sure, if you didn't get it correct, you need to make sure to ask your teacher. The second way we're going to write slope-intercept form is we're going to be given 2 points or ordered pairs that the line contains. So basically we're given 2 points that lie on the line. Our goal is still to find m, our goal is still to find b. Now neither one of them is given to us. At least on the front of this page, m was given to us. We just had to find b. Now neither m or b is given to us. However, I can, for step 1, find m right away by using the slope formula. To remind you of that, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Once I find the slope, that's one of my puzzle pieces, I'm halfway there, I'm going to pick one of the 2 given ordered pairs. I typically pick the first one always. Okay. Another word for ordered pairs are points, because I'm going to be given 2 points that lie on this line. Once I have m and I have picked my ordered pair, again, typically the first one, it doesn't matter which one you pick though, you follow steps 1 through 5 on the front of this, which weren't so bad, and you can go ahead and find b. So looking at example 3, write the equation in slope-intercept form given the following points. So these 2 points lie on the line that we're trying to write an equation for. I'm going to have to use the slope formula right away, so I'm going to label these points x1, y1, and x2, y2. So I can use them in the slope formula. For the slope formula, I like to write my fraction bar, my two minus signs right away, and then let's plug in. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And putting those, if there's a minus sign after the if there's a negative sign after the minus sign, I put it in parentheses to emphasize the double negative, because minus and negative changes to plus a positive. So this arithmetic, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3, and then 6 plus 3 is 9. This fraction happens to reduce to negative 1/3. So I have one of my puzzle pieces. I just found the slope. I'm halfway there. I like drawing a little line and reminding myself here's my slope. And then typically we pick the first ordered pair. If you want to pick the second, that's fine. You're going to get the same b regardless, because these points lie on the same line. Now this becomes something we did up front. So I have my m I can substitute. I have my ordered pair that I'm going to substitute. So y equals mx plus b. Y is negative 1. M is negative 1/3. X is negative 3. And I'm looking for good old b. Multiply m and x, and I get a positive 1, and I need to keep going through the motions to find b. Some of you may need to draw your wall on your floor. A positive 1 moves with a negative or minus 1. Whatever I do to one side, I do the other, and negative 2 equals b. I found my b, I found my m, and now I can write my equation. So y equals m x, and since b is a negative 2, I'm going to express it as minus 2. That is my final product, an equation. M and b just happened to let me get there. All right, example 4, you're going to see something a little funky happens, but I'm going to start it out just the same. So I'm going to start it out by labeling my points x1, y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to use the slope formula. And let's plug on in. So y2 is 9 minus y1, which is also 9. x2 is negative 5 minus x1, which is 2. Simplifying the numerator, I get 0. Simplifying the denominator, I get negative 7. 0 divided by negative 7 happens to be 0. So this is actually a special case line. A vertical and horizontal lines you need to have memorized. Vertical lines have an undefined slope. Horizontal lines have the slope of 0. So because m equals 0, we know that this is actually, a horizontal line. Okay. So whenever I get 0 for my numerator or denominator, I have to be like, whoa, wait a minute, special case. When m is actually 0, it's a horizontal line, and the equation for all horizontal lines are y equals some number. I just need to figure out what number that is. Well, I happen to have two ordered pairs that have y in it, and checking them out, it's no coincidence that y has the same number. The equation of this line is y equals 9. So that's a special case example for you to see. Okay. If it was a vertical line, the 0 would be in the denominator, which would make the slope undefined, which would make the equation x equals a number instead of y equals a number. Number 5. So number 5, we're going to start out like we did. Number 5, b ends up being a fraction also. So m is a fraction and b is a fraction, which is okay. life isn't all pretty integers. Let's work on solving what m is by substituting y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. I'm putting those second negatives, or those negative numbers after the minus sign in parentheses, to remind myself to change minus a negative to plus a positive. And I get a positive 10 over 7, which doesn't reduce. Okay? 10 and 7 are only divisible by 1. So my slope, or my m, is 10 sevenths. So my m is 10 sevenths. Let's pick one of the ordered pairs. Let's stick with the first one for consistency's sake. And I now have an m, an x, and a y to substitute into y equals mx plus b. And I can go ahead and do that substitution. So y is negative 5, m is 10 sevenths, x from the ordered pair is negative 3, and that makes my only unknown b. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply m and x. So I'm following the steps on the front of this paper. This may take some calculator work. I get negative 30 over 7. And I'm still looking for b. Some of you may need to draw your wall and your floor. A negative 30 over 7 moves with a positive 30 over 7. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And calculator work, negative 5 plus 37ths is negative 5 sevenths. And that is my b. So I found my puzzle pieces. There we go. I can write my equation now. Give myself some space. So y equals m x, and since b is a negative, I'm going to express it as minus 5 sevenths. This is my final product. It's the equation of this line. If I were to graph this line, and these, I would find that these two ordered pairs lie directly on it. Your time to try on your own. Press pause and then come back here, and I'm going to go through the you try real quick. But your job right now is to press pause. Try this and then come on back. Alright, so I'm going to skip some of the work that I showed in the examples because this is the you try. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, 5 over negative 12. We're not allowed to have negatives in denominators, so I'm going to move it to the numerator. So m is negative 5/12. One puzzle piece found. So m is negative 5/12. Let's pick the ordered pair. Let's make it the first one. Let's plug into y equals mx plus b. Y from my ordered pair is 4. M that I found above is negative 5/12. X from my ordered pair is 7. And I'm looking for good old b. Multiplying, you may need a calculator. Negative 35/12. Still looking for b. Some of you may need to draw your wall and your floor. A negative number moves with the positive version of that number. Cancel each other out. Whatever I do to the other side. Calculator work, 4 plus 35/12 gives me 83/12. If your calculator gives you back a decimal or a mixed number, have it use your calculator, have it put it into a improper fraction. So I have my b. I had already previously found my m right there. So y equals mx plus b. y equals -5/12 x. B is positive, so I'm going to express it as positive 83/12. There's your final equation. If we were to graph this equation, the two ordered pairs that were listed here would lie on that line. All right, this concludes Unit 6, Lesson 5, writing equations in slope-intercept form, whether you're given the slope and a point of the line or just 2 points that lie on the line. If you have any questions, please ask your teacher. This concludes this lesson.